Thanks for joining the John Justice Show on this Tuesday morning. Yesterday, this article came out. Pima County tax dollars bought Facebook likes, a $1,500 chair, and a staff meeting at the Ritz. The Arizona Daily Star reviewed 340 pages of receipts after filing a public records request for records for the 2013 Supervisor spending that generated details on everything from a 97-cent get well card for a county official trip to D.C. that cost more than $3,800. Each Pima County Supervisor has the power to spend a $400,000 a year operating budget at his or her discretion, requiring almost no outside approval. Now, it breaks down Sharon Bronson, Ray Carroll, Ramon Valadez, Richard Elias, and Allie Miller on this list. Joining us on the phone is District 1 Supervisor Allie Miller, and I appreciate you coming on once again. Good morning, Allie. How are you?
Good morning, John. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. The article, first off, I mean, it gives a lot of just factual data, but they spent an inordinate amount of time focusing on you and the expenditures made by your office. And, you know, I wanted to reach out to you because on its face, it doesn't look good. I'll be honest. On its face, it doesn't look good, but I want to give you the opportunity to give us your thoughts on these particular expenditures, the $400,000 a year operating budget, and why some of these things were purchased.
Well, first of all, yeah, we are elected and we're given a $408,000 a year operating budget that was passed long before I got elected to office. And each supervisor is responsible for managing that budget as they see fit. Some choose to go on $7,000 trips to Texas. One of the supervisors did that and took his staff. Another supervisor took a $3,800 trip to Washington, D.C. I chose to, I had to buy all new computers. I had to buy chairs for my office. I did not buy a $1,500 chair. I am sitting in the same chair that Ann Day sat in. We had to buy chairs for a conference room table. We could have got them cheaper at a Best Buy or something, but we were forced to go to the county supplier. But end of the day, I had to go from scratch. That office was a pit. There was nothing in it, and we had to start from scratch, all new computers. And every office goes through that when they're elected. The other offices have been up and running, and they've been in office for years, so they do their upgrades as they go. So I did come in under budget last year, $35,000, which is roughly what all the other supervisors came in under budget. And end of the day, John, this is a diversion. Why do you think this is happening? It's because, you know, he talked about the authorized and budgeted expenditures of running a supervisor office,
right,
which we're all responsible for. And they're trying to paint this as some extravaganza for my office. I went to one out-of-town meeting. I didn't go to the NACO conferences, which one supervisor did, and took 2 staff members that cost $7,000, because I figured I will go this year or next year, and I won't be taking my staff members with me. But that's a personal choice. You know, everyone manages their budget differently. And as far as the agenda-driven journalism from the Arizona Star, I think that comes as no surprise. They have endorsed the status quo for years. They've endorsed the same candidates. They have not done any hard-hitting reports on the real issues in Pima County, which are in the millions. Those are the things we should be looking at.
Sure.
And they're trying to attack me personally. As you said, you know, it's very clear, and I've gotten tremendous amount of support from people, you know, that see what's going on. You know,
yeah, they spent an entire page on you, and then just paragraphs on every other member of the board of soups. Let me ask you real quick though. You called out specifically the $1,550 on a chair. That information was wrong. Where did they get that from?
That is incorrect. I did not buy a chair for $1,500. We had to buy 6 chairs for a conference table. The chairs were literally rickety, ready to collapse. So I couldn't have people coming into my office and sitting on those chairs.
Sure.
And there were a couple other chairs that we bought for the outer office. That office was very neglected, and I wish I had taken pictures before I went in there just to show people the condition of it. And there were no supplies. You know, we had to buy staplers. We had to buy everything. And with buying all those supplies, we still came in as under budget as the other departments. So, and yes, we did spend $75 on getting, we're using social media. It is the social media age, getting people aware of our Facebook page. I think it's very important. Richard Elias spent $350. I see nothing wrong with that, him spending $350 or me spending $75. It's to get people aware of our page and make them see what's going on in Pima County. We did have to buy a new website because mine was literally destroyed overnight because we were posting county videos up there. And
I remember that one. I actually remember that story pretty specifically when it happened in regards to what happened to the website, and you had to go build another one.
Yeah, so we did do that. And that's part of my budget. I would like to have spent it on something else, but hey, we have to do what we have to do to make sure people can see what's going on and they can see those videos from the meetings. And the things that people should really be worried about is, why are 72% of the roads failed in District 1? Why do we have one of the highest tax rates in the state? Why do we have $1.4 billion in debt? I challenge expenditures on the agenda each week in the meetings, and that's why I put those clips up there so they can see that I do challenge. I'm working hard challenging the real stuff, and that's why this is a diversion to keep people focused on things that are not important. Staffing an office, and I think probably total on lunches. We had some volunteers that came in and helped with the budget. I think there were 12 to 15 people on that $200 lunch. So they made it sound like, I'm going to $200 lunches all over the place. When I went up to the county meeting up in Phoenix, I bought my own dinners out of my own pocket. All they did was pay my hotel bill. It is just a diversion. And what we really need to be worried about is this $1.3 billion budget and what's happening with the money that is coming from there. And that's where I'm focused. And I promised the voters in my district that I would do this. I have done it. If I simply blended in with the rest of them, you wouldn't be hearing a word about me. I'd be just fine, And this is why this is happening. I am not business as usual. I promised the people that I would challenge things that I saw wrong, and I asked the tough questions.
Sure.
And because of that, I'm out there, and I'm going to take flack. And Joe Ferguson clearly is agenda-driven. And then yesterday, the Fitz hit piece. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did. It was pretty ridiculous. I wasn't. It was so ridiculous. There was a really stupid. There was a really stupid blog post put up at the Arizona Daily Star
it was beyond bizarre.
Yeah.
It just makes it was
made no
so
sense.
Nonsensical that I question the Arizona Star. Maybe they ought to re-examine their journalistic standards. And maybe they ought to be looking at things like this $12.8 million that they want to spend on moving the Hughes Access Road. Or maybe they ought to be looking at the fact that I just spoke with Ethan Orr, and he's talking about running a bill that will allow Pima County, allow the counties to individually add a gas tax versus doing it at the state level. He said, I won't vote for a tax increase at the state level, but he's talking about running, we're working on running a bill that will allow individual counties to assess a gas tax, which would put that in the county administrator's hands. We don't want that. Those are the kinds of things that I'm paying attention to and that I'm challenging people on. And every time I do that, probably tomorrow you'll see a picture of me with God knows what. He's got one up here at the Columbia Biosphere. Maybe tomorrow will be somewhere else. But when you start asking questions, when you start challenging people, this is what's going to happen.
Let me ask you a couple other quick questions in regards to the article. First off, the two other items on the list here that they've mentioned, I wanted to specifically ask you about. One were the signs printed up for the weekly segment, and I assume that was for James's show. And then the other one was why they pointed out that you canceled the subscription to Inside Tucson Business seems irrelevant, but they mentioned these expenses for 10 subscriptions to the Arizona Daily Independent. To address those two real quick, because that's
First of all, I did not buy 10 subscriptions to the Arizona Daily Independent.
It's a free website.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we did not buy 10 subscriptions. We did buy one subscription for the year.
Okay.
We did do that. And There are others. Yeah, we canceled the Inside Tucson business. Apparently, no one in my office says, they all say they didn't do it, but if they didn't, I would advise them to. And there are other publications I'm going to cancel as well.
Sure.
Just because of the cost of them and that people don't even have time to read them. And but what was the other one?
The signs for the weekly segment.
Oh, yes. Those cost $15 a piece, and we were in the Oro Valley Parade. And two of them were Christmas signs. And two of them were my supervisor signs, and I had one that advertised Miller Time on the James T. Harris show because people get informed on that show.
Right.
And yeah, $15 there for that sign. And yeah, we are buying materials that are very important for getting our office information out there. I did over 40 town halls in my first year in office. So, making sure people are aware where they are. We put up signs so that they know where to turn in and where to find us. And we did buy Constant Contact. That's a very important tool to communicate with. And that's how we get our newsletter out. That's how we let people know where our town halls are going to be. And coming in $35K under budget in my first year in office, I think was, right about the same as all the others. And I don't take any money out of the Board of Supervisors contingency fund, which is a fund that he should have looked at. There are a lot of things. Even last week, the Greater Tucson Leadership held a gala event to honor an elected official, Barbara Lawal. I think that's wonderful. She's probably done some good things. However, we contributed, the county administrator put on there $5,000, and I voted no on it because we shouldn't be paying for galas. But did that get questioned? Did the study for the buildings in downtown for $15,000 that went to the urban land use panel, did that get questioned? That was $15,000 for a study. How many more studies do we need of downtown Tucson?
I'm going to stop you here because I'm really short on time, and I have a caller that wants to ask you a question, but I just have one more question in regards to this. Do you regret any of the purchases that you made? And this is more just for the sake of clarity, because obviously a lot of people are going to be reading this. I'm wondering if you look back at any of the purchases you made, via the money that's allocated to you, if you regret any of those purchases.
Absolutely not. Everything that I made was important to my office. We had two team building lunches. I think that's very important when you're building a team and you've got new people coming into your office. And absolutely not. I make no apologies. I believe I've managed my money very well. And if people want to come in and tour my office to see the extravagant office that we have, they're more than welcome.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show and addressing the article. Let me grab Nathan real quick. I dropped her. She'll call right back. Nathan, what was your question for Allie Miller? She'll be back on the line in just a second. But what was your question for Allie?
Yeah, my question was another hot topic with Allie is that she's trying to remove a fair commissioner with the Pima County Fair Commission.
Okay.
And I was just really curious. His name is Marvin Selke. I'm just curious why she's so adamant to remove him. He has a clean record and everything, so I'm just kind of want to hear her comments on
Okay. I will, we're going to get her back on the line here in a second, and I will address your phone call with her. Hey, we'll bring Allie Miller back on. Sorry about that, Allie. I thought I had you locked into my call screening thing, and I didn't. But we had a call, and I haven't heard anything about this, so maybe you'll have to clue me in. He said that you were trying to remove the fair commissioner from the Pima County Fairgrounds, it sounded like, and why that was going on. Can you clue me in on what he was talking about?
Yeah, what happens when you come into office, you have all these committees and boards that you can appoint individuals to, and it's up to each supervisor. Depending on the committee, there are different rules for each committee, and one of them is the Fair Commission. I tried to appoint someone last year. The board voted no, so we let it go. The individual who is on there, the appointee's been on there for 33 years. So I would like to have my own appointee, number one, and number two, 33 years. I thank him tremendously for his service, but I think it's time that we have a change. Things change in 33 years, and that we could have someone that of my choosing on the board. But what I've run into is last week I had an appointee, the person that I wanted to, not last week, the week before, I wanted to appoint to the board. And I got information that, first of all, there's two different names for the commission, and each one has their own set of rules. One says you can remove at will, and appoint whenever you want. The other one says you can only remove for cause. And then I just got a memo from Mr. Huckleberry that adds another level of complexity. So I have it on the agenda this week to discuss the rules, to finally get the rules. I didn't even put a name on for a nomination. I want the rules. What are the rules? Define the rules, and let's get those defined. And then I will appoint someone to the committee, depending on whether it's at will or for a cause. And if they say you can't remove before the end of their term unless it's for cause, then that means I won't be able to appoint this individual until June. And then the board majority votes on it. And so I always respect other board members and whoever they want to appoint, unless they have some sort of criminal record or something. I will support whoever they want on their board. It's a respect thing for each district.
I had a couple of phone calls, and they wanted to ask me in regards to the expenditures that each Pima County supervisor is allocated. Are there any restrictions on that, or is it more just you spend it on what you feel is necessary, but it is open records? If somebody wants to see it, they can.
It is open records, and we categorize where we're going to spend the items on the budget. But as far as restrictions, there are, each board member, like I said, one person spent $7,000 and took his staff on a trip to Texas. I chose not to do that. I chose to focus more on getting my office up and running. And next year I will probably go to the NACO conference because I am a member of that. And it's important that I go and meet with other county officials across the country, because that's how you learn and that's how you share ideas and understand best practices and that kind of thing. So I think it's important to go. But, each board member has to determine, depending on the year, and maybe in one year, like this first year, I had to buy all new computers and get my office up and running, so I didn't have the money for that. But next year, I'll have more money where I can do this travel. But I lived within my budget. I actually came in $35K under budget, and we have a budget to manage. People elect us, and they give us this budget to manage. It's all open for people to see what we're spending it on. And questionable, anybody can question any of the expenses. I feel very comfortable with what we've done in our office, and we haven't. I certainly don't have a $1,500 chair.
Sure. Yeah, I know I had another call on that. No, she addressed that. So
no, I do not. They can come in and see that I have the same chair as everyone else in my office that Ann Day sat in. So that is, I don't know where he got that from.
Allie Miller, I appreciate again you taking the time out to address this article and for coming on the show. I appreciate the info. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Look, it comes down to, if you have a right, if the individuals are your constituents, okay, or even if they're not, you have a right to go and question what their expenditures are and then hold those individuals accountable based off of what they purchased. The article, the funny thing was, the article it zeroed in, it only brought up the other Board of Supervisor members because it wanted to spend most of its time talking about Allie Miller. There is no, they did. They spent an entire page on Allie Miller and then just paragraphs on everybody else. Elias spending $350 on Facebook ads in 2013. Let's see, Ray Carroll, trips to D.C., Dallas, Vegas, Flagstaff, $7,000 in 2013. Ramon Valadez, let's see, to Tucson. He went to D.C. with officials from the Tucson Regional Economics Opportunities, which cost more than $3,100. Sharon Bronson used mostly county credit cards on office supplies. Let's see, overnight trips to a small rural town, paying for hotel and room and meals with the staffer, visits once a month. So again, these are all public records. They're given $400,000 a year for an operating budget at his or her expense. If people don't like it, then they need to address it with those individuals.